Here he is. See, I promised you good suits and jackets, and Dana from Houston's going to sit down wearing a very nice jacket. And we will chat it up. Dana Holgorsen, nice to meet you. Appreciate you joining us on the show. So everybody wants to know why Valdosta. Early in your career, like you've had a really interesting career. We were just talking about that you're uniquely qualified to make this jump with Houston.
I was, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I was 22. I just graduated from Iowa Wesleyan College. I'd spent my whole life in Iowa. Didn't vacation very much, you know, blue collar working family growing up. Hal Mummy, Mike Leach, you know, left Iowa Wesleyan, went to Valdosta State. So I went down there to start coaching. You know, so I was making $6,000 a year for 2 years.
Wow.
Got my master's degree. They kicked me out and said, go coach. And so I moved to Clinton, Mississippi and started coaching, you know, and then I guess it was like 4 years later, Leach is the head coach at Tech and brought me with him. So just rode their coattails as long as I needed to. But Valdosta was cool. I mean, South Georgia football is pretty good. You know, right? Plus it was, you know, an hour and a half to Jacksonville Beach, and I think it was an hour and 50 minutes to Panama City Beach. And so I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Do you love coaching? I mean, I know that seems like an obvious question, but I think, you know, for somebody that's been through the grind like you have, and you've worked for $6,000 a year, which I think is only slightly more than you're making now. Like, do you still love the game? Do you still love the process?
Yeah, I do. You know, I learned this from Leach, you know, which Bob Stoops had this in him. You know, Mike Leach, Hal Mummy, these guys had this in them, where you need to learn how to flip the switch off. You know, so, you know, summertime, you know, switch it off, you know, because if it doesn't ever end, you're going to burn out, you know, and I've seen certain coaches, you know, burn out based on the fact that they don't switch it off, you know, and so, you know, I don't apologize for like not doing anything for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be doing nothing today if it wasn't for the media days here today. You know, I'm going to turn it back off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the next 3 days. And then we go back to work on Sunday, but you got to be able to turn it off. I like to vacation, take trips and get away and spend time with friends, spend time with family, see a variety of things. I'm going to go to Napa for about 3 days here in another 10 days. So I'm going to take off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, tomorrow, back to work Sunday through Friday. And then I'm going to Napa Friday, Saturday, Sunday for another weekend just to get away, you know, and I don't apologize for that. I mean, we work tirelessly and we work hard, and, you know, when it's time to do that, you got to do it. But when you can turn it off, I think it's important to turn it off if you want to stay in this thing for the long haul.
Well, and you've mentioned some titans of your profession. I mean, when you talk about like a name like Hal Mummy, like that's not some small guy, you know, and you talk about, you know, our late friend Mike Leach, who was fantastic. Like, do those guys still impact you today? Like, do you harken back to conversations or moments?
Yeah, we've, yes. Dear friends of mine, you know, I thought I'd be running the streets of Key West with Leach for the next 30 years. You know, I mean, I've spent time with Mike down in Key West probably 12 different times.
Yeah.
You know, just was a great friend of mine, and we go back 32 years, you know. So he was my guy, and the guy that we, you know, hung out with. You know, Hal's a little older, a little bit more eccentric, and you know, kind of been out of the game for a little while, you know, but I thought me and Leach would be running those streets in Key West for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
I do admire Bob Stoops, going back to the burnout thing. You know, I'm not saying I'm going to retire here in 3 years. I don't think I can get Houston where I think it deserves to be in that short period of time. But I do admire Bob for accomplishing everything that he accomplished. What else was he going to accomplish in college football?
He turned it off and didn't turn it back on.
He turned it off when he was 55 and is living his best life.
Yeah.
You know, the XFL kind of gives him a little bit of You know, just whet the appetite a little bit with football, and then say, okay, enough's enough. I need to go to one of my vacation homes.
Nice.
You know, so you know, I'd like to be able to do that at some point, but we got some unfinished business here before my career is over.
Yeah. Dana Holgorsen from Houston's our guest. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. So what does Houston deserve? Where do they need to be for you to feel good?
One of the top teams in Big 12. You know, I mean, Houston's wanted this for 30 years. And Houston finally has it. All right. Now there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, we're not going to be on an even playing field for 3 to 5 years, you know, when it comes to facilities, which are going to be built, when it comes to the full share of a conference distribution, you know, which is going to be 3 more years from now. So there's things that have to happen. We're going to continue to build, but people are excited about this. This is what we've always wanted. So we need to take steps each and every year, and I think we will.
How much of your job is making money? Like when you think about, you know, like it is Todd Graham at Arizona State told me once about, you know, raising money to rebuild a stadium, and it almost killed him. And he's like, it's all I ever do. Like, how much of this job is not football, but making money so you can play football?
More than I'd like it to be. But it's the job that I currently have and the situation I'm currently in. You know, improving like Houston football is obviously what I'm in charge of, but like athletic department needs to kick in too, right? And so we need to hire more people. We need to sell more tickets. We need to raise more money, and we need people to be able to do that, right? So the difference in a Power 5 football program is different than a Group of 5 football program. Well, I got news for you. A Power 5 athletic department looks different than a Group of 5 athletic department.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be boosted, you know, and it's going to take time for us to get there as well. In the meantime, I can't sit back and do nothing. We got a building to build and a budget to supplement. And, you know, it's not just me that needs to do it, but at the end of the day, if I want it to happen, it's going to a lot of it's going to be up to me.
Donovan Smith versus Lucas Coley. It's all anybody wants to ask you about.
It really is. You better have both ready.
Yeah, truth.
You know, there's 2 programs. I haven't confirmed this, but I read it on Twitter, so it's got to be right. There is 2 programs in college football last year that started the same quarterback every game.
Crazy.
The University of Houston and UTSA. So Frank Harris and Clayton Tune. The rest of them started multiple quarterbacks throughout the course of the season. So the importance of having more than one is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
So my job is to get both those guys ready. I think Donovan has the upper hand because he's played in 21 college football games and Lucas has played in 2.
Yep.
So I think that probably gives Donovan the upper hand, but you better get both of them ready.
How good is Patrick Paul?
If he can lower his pads, and this has nothing to do with mentality or aggression. He's got more personal fouls than I'm comfortable with. So he's aggressive and he can pass pro. I mean, he passed pro Tyree Wilson the entire day when we played Texas Tech, who was a top 5 pick. So pass protection check, aggression check, intelligence check, personality check. If he can lower his pads and get better in the run game, he's a first day guy. Yeah. I mean, he's got that kind of ability.
Last question I'll ask before I let you go is how impressive and how impressed are you with Brett Yormark in this conference?
You know, it's a perfect fit. You know, what Bob Bowlesby did with the Big 12 was awesome. You know, he came in the same time that West Virginia came in 2011 or 12, whatever that was. And what he did with the conference was awesome. We're in a different age now. Yeah. It's like my job is different now than it was 5 years ago when it comes to promoting things, promoting a conference, social media. That's his strength, you know. And so what you see with the Big 12 with branding, thinking outside the box, it's what this conference needed. And it's working right now, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
No, and I think that's why the Rucker Park thing, and I know that's basketball, not football, but you talk about athletic departments. I think the Mexico situation, the Rucker Park thing, like it's just growing reach because that equals revenue. Like it just feels like you guys are moving forward as a conference. And Houston, I think you guys are one of the most critical components of that, because Houston's not small. And I think you have the experience being in this conference previously and winning at a high level. Like, I feel like you are the perfect guy to make this jump. Like, do you feel like your experience makes that easier, if easier as possible?
No. I think the preparation has, I think my experience has helped in the preparation over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Now, once you line up and play these teams, the coach and the experience on that other sideline, it equals mine.
Yeah.
You know, so that gives us no advantage. But the lead in, the prep over the last 18 months it's been good. You know, Brett talking about Mexico and Mexico City, and it makes sense. You know, that's a very large city,
Yeah.
to say the least, which is people, which is population, you know, which is support, which is fans, which is tickets, which is eyeballs. Makes a lot of sense. I'm probably going to go to Mexico City tomorrow and check it out.
Nice. Do it. Appreciate you, man. Nice
All right,
to
see
meet
you,
you.
bud.
Thanks so much. Dana Holgorsen from Houston. I told you guys, like, he understands it. He gets it. And the thing that I think is really important is that his experience that he talked about there, because this is not an easy thing. And I think a lot of people think that somehow this is just, you know, like I mean, we're just going to start winning football games. You're not just going to start winning football games, because you got to sell tickets. You got to improve the stadium. Like Todd Graham, I will never forget that conversation we had with Todd Graham, the Arizona coach way back at Arizona State. Like, their media guy was so adamant that we asked him about fundraising. And Todd told us after we were done with that interview, I'm tired of talking about money. I'm tired of talking about raising money. I just want to coach football games. Because it's all these guys have to do now.
Yes.
And money is, I get it. Money is the root of all that kills. But, man, if you have it, it's great. If you don't, you're screwed, man.
Yeah. No, couldn't have said it better myself. It's the beginning and the end. Like, whether you're talking about yourself or whether you're talking about a college football conference or a team, you know, I mean, money is the lifeblood of life. You have to have it to operate.
Yeah. And I think it's really important. I think Donovan Smith should win that job. I agree with Dana on that. I think it's really important that the experience pays dividends, because that experience, whether it's Dana as the coach and the program builder or Donovan as the quarterback, I think it's really important that experience, because that can guide you through situations. You know to take some breaths, you know to take it easy, like you're not freaking out. And I think that experience is just really important, man. And it's so difficult when you're talking about, you know, just trying to win at this level, man, from the AAC to the Big 12. Do you guys understand the monumental jump that is? Man, it is really difficult to make that jump. And I think when you look at Dana and where he's been, he talked about Leach, he talked about, you know, Hal Mummy, and I just think that experience, being able to call on that experience and being able to, you know, to really think about conversations you've had, situations, phone calls, moments. Man, that's what makes you a great coach. That's what makes you a great coach, I think, in my mind.